about is blocking is on every single play. We can't get around it. No matter if it's an opening kickoff, there's going to be blocking. From a first scrimmage play, there's going to be blocking to the last play of the game. There is going to be blocking. So I remember when I was thinking about this when I was actually preparing for our level 1 training, and I'm like, my gosh, there is a lot of blocking, and do we even give it enough time to discuss it, to talk about it, to make sure we understand what is legal and illegal blocking? So we're going to look at it today, and we're going to talk about some things about blocking that we referred to last week about legal and illegal blocking. Okay, so in Rule 2, and looking at the definition of blocking, it's just obstructing an opponent by contacting him or her at any part of the blocker's body. Okay, so it's just basically just standing in the way, getting between the opponent and the runner, and being a blocker. Right, so obstructing the opponent is basically is what all blocking is. All right, so the frame of the blocker's body, is the upper front body at and below the shoulders. So if you look at the player in the white, the clip in the white, that's the frame of the blocker's body. Okay, very important, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The frame of the opponent's body is at the shoulders or below, other than the back. So if you see, when we're looking at an opponent, not only are they showing the front view, it's also showing the side view. Now, I have a lot of officials that get confused and talking about, well, if he's blocking from the side and his hand is on his back, is that considered blocking in the back? Not necessarily, no. Okay, so although the blocker is coming from the side profile of the opponent, it's still not necessarily a block in the back. A block in the back is when you clearly is approaching from the back and you block them in between the shoulders. So just because, or what if his head is on the back side of the opponent? Is that a block in the back? No. Well, it is not relevant to where the head is, but where the blocker is when they make contact with the opponent. So there's actually 2 different methods of blocking. And if you took those online self-help courses, self-paced courses that we asked a lot of new officials to take, this would be one of the things that was discussed. We're going to discuss it again, but we're going to talk about it. Now, obviously, the closed and cup hand, we very rarely see that anymore. It's more of an obsolete style of blocking. Most youth and high school officials use the other method, and we'll discuss that in a second. But the closed and cup hand method, hands are closed or cupped with the palms not facing the opponent. Now, it's very, very important that you pay attention to the verbiage, okay? Hands are closed and cupped with the palms not facing the opponent. Now, in Rule 9, in Section 2, it says that any technique that is not described in Rule 2, which we're looking at right now, is illegal. Okay? So understand, it's closed and cup hands, palms not facing the opponent. Hands must be in advance of the elbows. So, in other words, elbows, my hands must be in advance of my elbows. Hands may not be extended more than 45 degrees from the blocker's body. So if I'm like this, I can't be like this. And how many blocks have you seen where they go like this? Forearms may not be extended more than 45 degrees from the blocker's body. So the hand and the forearm cannot be more than 45 degrees out. And the elbows may be either inside or outside the frame of the shoulders of the shoulders. So I could be like this, or I could be like this. All right. But if my hands are closed and I'm facing the opponent, that's illegal. That's illegal use of the hands. All right. And again, we're going to talk about this right here. If I'm like this, illegal. Okay. Now, the open hand technique. Hands may be advanced of the elbows. So now my hands could be advanced. In the cup position, my hands cannot be advanced at more than a 45-degree angle. It can be advanced, but no more than a 45-degree angle. But listen to this part here. The hands must be within the blocker's frame and the opponent's frame. And remember, we looked at what the frames are. So it's here. So my hands must be within my body frame. If my hands are out here, it's outside the frame of my body, which would be an illegal block. Because my hands must be here. Okay? And the hands must be open when forearms are extended more than 45 degrees from the blocker's body. My hands must be open. Now, we have a lot of coaches that like to teach a certain technique to their linemen. And that technique looks similar to this. They tell their linemen that it's legal to grab the inside breastplate of a defender, and that's legal. Okay? The blocker may not lock his hands. The blocker may not swing, throw, or flip his elbows or forearms so that it's moving faster than his shoulders when the elbow and forearm or shoulders contact the opponent. So how many times have you seen a blocker come and do this to an opponent? They come and they just swing out at an opponent, and we don't do anything. Those are illegal blocking techniques. Okay? You cannot grab on the inside of a defender because that's holding. Coach said, that's absurd. Because some reason it's been taught and they literally think that this is legal. That it's legal to grab on the inside breastplate of the defender. It is not. Do we call it all the time? No, we do not. If I'm looking at a defender and they're more concerned about the lineman, the blocker, more they're concerned about getting to the runner, or they're not trying to pull away from the blocker, typically I may let it slide. But once I see the opponent is trying to get away from the blocker, and the blocker is holding them in, it's here and they go like this, most likely if it's in the point of attack, I'm going to call the hold. And they're going to be like, what was that? What was that? And I'm going to say it was a hold. Well, that wasn't a hold. Why wasn't it? Because he had his hands on the inside, but they was locked. All right? Contacting using the arms or hands may not be above the shoulders, opponent's shoulders. So hands to the face, illegal use of the hands. Player may not grasp or circle a teammate in an act of blocking an opponent, and that's called interlock blocking. So you can't grab shoulders or grab a jersey of your teammate to stop somebody from coming in. All that's a 10-yard penalty for interlock blocking. So look at some other restrictions, and this is one of them ones. Again, is allowed in flag football. It's allowed in NFL, and yet you also see it in college, even though it's not legal. So again, if you're coming off the streets to become a game official and you watch a lot of football on TV, you're going to assume that this is legal. And you're going to hear a lot of coaches say that this is legal. A defensive player should not contact an eligible receiver who is no longer a potential blocker. Okay? There is no 5-yard chuck rule in high school or youth or even in NCAA. There's no such rule. You can't make contact within the first 5 yards to an eligible receiver who's no longer a potential blocker. All right, when number 8 is no longer a potential blocker, contacting that receiver is illegal use of the hands by the defense. Once number 8 is on the same yard line as the defender, or after he has made a cut away from the defender, he is no longer a potential blocker. And if you make contact with that individual, that is a foul for illegal use of the hands. I know. Crazy, right? Like, what? I thought that was legal. It's not. But yet we see it a lot. And we hear it a lot. And sometimes officials let it go because they never was in this class. They never was trained properly. They never was educated properly. And so they think it's legal, when actuality it's not legal. All right, so let's talk about the free blocking zone and some restrictions within the free blocking zone when it comes down to blocking. Okay, there are some restrictions on the kicking team when it comes to blocking. One of those restrictions is K cannot initiate contact until it's eligible to touch the kick. So on a free kick, K is eligible to recover the kick if it does 3 things, or 2 or 3, 2 of the 3 or 1 of the things, whatever combination you want to put it. First, the ball must go 10 yards. The ball must touch the ground. So in order for K to be eligible to recover a ball, the ball would have to have traveled 10 yards and then touched the ground. Or it has touched a receiver, and then K is eligible to receive it. So a lot of these restrictions came about because of K ruthless attack on the front line of the receiving team. That's why they try to balance it out, where you got to have at least 4 players on one side of the kicker. So you got to have a 4-6 combination. In the NFL, they got it 5-5, but in high school and youth, it's actually 4-6. And you, if you do an onside kick, if they try and do an onside kick to get the ball back, they cannot contact R until the ball goes 10 yards. So literally, if you look at the first clip up here, hold on, I got a little cool thing here. If you look at this clip right here, if R goes up to recover a free onside kick within that 10-yard box, neutral zone, and if K make contact with R, it's a foul, it's a 10-yard penalty, because K cannot touch R until the ball is, because they can legally recover the ball, and they cannot legally recover the ball until it goes 10 yards. So if R was smart, they will go into the neutral zone to recover the ball, hoping that a K player is going to block them. And hopefully the referees know the rule. So you cannot make contact with R until the ball has traveled 10 yards. So 10 yards, touch the ground, we talked about that. Can happen in either order. We discussed that. If K initiate the contact, team K may block. So if R goes into the neutral zone and initiate contact with K, that's fine. But R has to be the one to initiate the contact. But if R is going toward the ball, and in case thinks is, ooh, I'm going to block them out the way, then we got a 10-yard penalty. Even if the ball is traveling, and let's say the ball is about to travel past R, and R is within that 10 yards, and the ball is still within that neutral zone space, and K made contact with R, we have a 10-yard penalty. Okay. Again, K cannot touch R until the ball is legally able to recover it. So look at some illegal blocks. So we'll look at some illegal blocks. We're going to look at some how those legal blocks can be legal and go from there. So let's look at it. All right. So one of the illegal blocks is butt blocking. Now, if you see on this clip, it looked like he's using the cup hand technique, right? But the butt blocking is contact initiated against an opponent who is not a runner with the front of the helmet. Butt blocking is a personal foul. It's a 15-yard penalty. It's considered illegal helmet contact. Applied to offense and defense. So before we go any further, there's no such thing as a foul. There's no such thing as helmet foul. All right, let me just put that out there. We hear it a lot. People say it a lot. The reason why players wear helmets, because heads will touch, because we're in a moving contact sport. So there's no such thing as helmet to helmet foul. You got butt blocking, you got spearing, you got butt tackling, you have targeting, but you don't have when helmets hit each other just by the course of conducting a play, or a player goes down, another player goes down, they happen to go down at the same time, and the helmets hit, does not mean it's a foul. No matter how loud it is, right? You have to be able to see the entire play to be able to determine if it was initiated or it was done as a contact or punishment somebody. Clipping, okay? Now, one thing I didn't do, I didn't get a picture up here of a player front and back. I told you about the hemispheres of a player, all right? We have the front side here, and then we have the lower hemisphere, and then we have the back lower hemisphere, and then we have the upper hemisphere, okay? Each one of those, depending on how they get contacted, has a different name and a different definition. As a game official, you need to know our terminology. You can't come and say somebody got clipped when it's a block in the back, or it's a blindside block, or it's a block below the waist, and because a block below the waist goes in the front, clipping goes in the back. So make sure you understand what you're saying when you come in and say it. All right. So block at or below the waist from behind is clipping. All right. Note the difference between clipping and blocking in the back is location of the block relative to the waist. So if I'm blocking at the waist and below, it's clipping. If I'm blocking below the head, I guess a millimeter below the waist, in between the shoulder blades, the shoulders, that's a block in the back. That's the difference. A block in the back is high, clipping is low. They both are from behind. So let's talk about block up below the waist. All right, initial contact below the waist from the front of our side against an opponent who has one or both feet on the ground. That means if I jump in the air, if the opponent jumps in the air and I hit them in the legs, that's not blocking below the waist, because they're in the air, they're free game. But if their feet are touching the ground, I can't block from the waist down. So It really doesn't matter. Let's say I'm going low and the opponent puts his hands out and it hits my hands and follow through to my hands and hit me below the waist. That's still considered blocking below the waist. So when is blocking below the waist legal? And we're not talking about the free blocking zone. We're going to talk about that in a second. But when else is blocking below the waist is legal? Now we know blocking below the waist is illegal. But when is an instance where it's legal? I'm glad you asked. A blocker will initiate contact above the waist in the blocking area. And let's say as they're blocking them, they slid low and the contact is continuously. This is not a foul. So if I'm up here and we're blocking and then I slip and then I wind up hitting them below the waist, that is not considered illegal blocking below the waist. That's a legal contact foul. I mean, a legal contact is not a foul. It's a legal contact. All right, let's look at blocking in the back. Blocking in the back is initiated contact opponent's back inside the shoulders before the below the helmet, before the helmet, and before it should be below the helmet and above the waist. The penalty for blocking in the back is a 10-yard penalty. Okay, so again, the contact is in the back and it's not below the waist or at the waist or below. So this will be blocking in the back. But not all blocking in the back is a foul. All right. So, and we're going to discuss this. This is why it's so important as game officials, you see the whole entire block. Just because you see somebody got pushed in the back does not necessarily mean it was illegal. Blocking in the back, in and of itself, it may be legal or illegal. So when is blocking in the back legal? Well, a defender who pushes an offensive blocker from behind above the waist and make the tackle is legal. So as you see in the pick here, if I'm trying to get to the runner and I have a blocker in between me and the runner, I can push that blocker in the back with a bona fide attempt to get to the runner. Now, if I push him in the back and I stop and I look like, I got you, that's a foul. But if I push you in the back to get to the runner, that is not a foul. It is also legal to use hands on the back of an opponent when the ball is loose or there's a fumble. And a player may legally recover it like a free kick. So if the ball's on the ground and we're trying to recover the ball, it's all free game. We can push anybody in the back to get to the ball. If the ball is loose on the ground, K can push R in the back, R can push K in the back if they're making a bona fide attempt to recover the ball. If not, it's a foul. If they're trying to recover the ball, it is not a foul. So not all blocks in the back are a foul. And that's the reason why we're doing this. We want you to understand this. Hey, you're a game official. You should know this. Understand it. Coach is going to scream. Coach is going to yell because they have a layman understanding of the rules. We have a more in-depth understanding of the rules, and we understand what is legal and illegal. All right, so blockers initiate legal contact. Here's another one. I don't know why I did that. So let's say, just like the blocking below the waist, where I made contact and then I went down and I blocked them below the waist, that's legal. The same thing with blocking in the back. If I make the contact initially legal and then we rotate and then I find my hands on his back and I push the opponent down, that's legal. Again, that's why it's so important that you see the whole from start to finish before you make the call, because it could be a legal block. How many times have you seen a block at the line where they make initial contact in the front, the opponent is trying to get around the blocker to tackle the runner, but the hands don't break free, and now his hands on the back of the runner, of the opponent, and he pushes him down, and now you're throwing a flag for blocking in the back. Why? Because he pushed him in the back. But did he break contact? No. Then it's no foul. Again, coach is going to yell. Coach is going to scream. Doesn't mean it's illegal just because they don't know. And they don't want to hear you anyway. Coach, that's legal. They don't want to hear you. They're gonna cuss you out and say you're stupid, you don't know the rules, and who this fool is, and so on and so forth. Is there another legal block in the bite? Yes, there is. I'm glad you asked. This could be a legal block in the bite. How? I'm glad you asked. In order for this to be a legal contact in this situation, the opponent will have to turn so quickly that the blocker could not stop his charge in time to avoid the block in the bite. All right? When the extended arm technique is used, the hands must be open and the contact remain open during the contact. So if I'm going toward you, I'm looking at you, you're looking at me, and I'm finna come to block you, and you turn on me at the last minute and I hit you in the back, that's legal. I know. Really? Yes. And again, coach is going to yell. Coach is going to scream. I asked the coach, does he want ice cream? I'm a poet. All right? So those using extended arm technique is fine. Remember, you can't do this anyways. That's illegal, right? No matter if they turn on you and you come in there and you throw the forearms. Now we got a legal blocking technique. Not necessarily a block in the back, but a legal blocking technique because you threw your arms and forearms. So the extended arm technique is what we're phrasing it when we make contact. It should be almost the extended arm technique for every contact. Because remember, no arm should be swinging or moving really fast. Every contact should be an extended arm technique. All right, chop block. Chop block is when we have two opponents attacking one player. One is high above the waist and one is below the waist. Okay? This is a foul. This is not legal anywhere on the football field. In the free blocking zone, outside the free blocking zone, is never legal. All right? Now, what is legal? Combination blocks. All right? So, at the line of scrimmage, now, again, we're talking about high school football. In most youth football programs, blocking below the waist is illegal. In the free blocking zone is, we don't follow that rule in most youth football programs. When you go to champion or national tournaments, they may say everything is legal, free blocking zone, but most youth organizations, blocking below the waist is in their rules illegal. So this low combination block, which is maybe legal in high school, will be illegal in youth. The high block, which is legal, when they say high, they mean it's above the knees, not below the knees. It may be legal in high school, but not in some national tournaments, but not in some of the youth football programs. All right, blindside block. It's a block with forcible contact against an opponent who does not see the blocker approaching. Now, this has always been the in football, right? Somebody coming up and cleaning the clock of someone else. Man, people has been getting seriously injured, and this is no longer tolerated, and we should not tolerate it. All right, it's about risk management, and although it give you the big hoo-ha factor, if it's for the youth, if it's for the kids, like we say, it's been doing a lot of damage, not only to the one getting blocked, but the one doing the blocking. So this is illegal. Now, is blindside block illegal? No. But this contact is illegal. How do we make it illegal? Right? All right. The extended arm technique. All right. So if it's against the runner, I guess it's fine. But if it's against a opponent who's not the runner, it's illegal. All right. It must be open hands, the open hand extended arm technique. So when you're going to make contact with someone who does not see the block coming, you have to have extended arms. But guess what? If you're in the free blocking zone, you do not have to have extended arms. You can block with the body in the free blocking zone, but only in the free blocking zone. And we'll discuss what that is here in a little bit. But outside of free blocking zone, it must be the extended arm technique with any blocker, any opponent who don't see the blockers coming, even if it's in the front. So if I come at a slant outside of the window and I don't, and you could tell, and I hit him in the front, that's still a blindside block. It does not necessarily be on the side. It can be in the front if the blocker don't see the block coming. But if they go like this anyways, guess what? We already got a foul for illegal blocking technique. All right, the free blocking zone. So the free blocking zone consists of, again, for high school and for national tournaments, it's 4 yards on either side of the snapper. All right, and 3 yards on either side of the line of scrimmage. So it's 6 by 8 or 8 by 6. All right, the rectangular area extending lateral on either side of the spot of the ball, blah, blah, blah. The player in the free blocking zone when any part of his body is in the zone. 1 foot, 2 feet. It don't got to be completely all in there, but that's the free blocking zone. The free blocking zone disintegrates when the ball has left the zone. So if I receive a snap, if a quarterback receives a snap and take about a step and a half, it's 2 steps back, that ball is still in the zone. So blindside blocks are legal. Blocking in the back is legal. And blocking below the waist, but there is a stipulation to the block below the waist, and we'll talk about it in a minute. But yeah, all of that is legal. All right, all blocks must occur in the zone. All players involved must be linemen. Team B within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage at the snap is a lineman. So again, free blocking zone legalized blocks that would otherwise be illegal. Blocking below the waist, blocking in the back, blindside blocks, offensive lineman that's on the line of scrimmage can block in the back. So if I'm a running back, and even though I might be in the zone in the back, I don't have the luxury to block below the waist or block in the back. It's only for those who are actually on the line. For the block below the waist, it has to be immediate. So in other words, as soon as the ball is snapped, you have to block below the waist. You can't like step back, then block below the waist. You can't take 2 steps over, then block below the waist. It has to be immediate at the snap. Blocking the back doesn't have to be immediate. Blindside blocks doesn't have to be immediate. Only blocking below the waist. What about clipping? Clipping is a foul and not allowed by either team in the free blocking zone ever. All right, the same as shot blocks that we discussed. Now, guess what? Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go back one. Block in the back, block below the waist, clipping is legal against the runner. All right, you can do all that against the runner. He's free game or she's free game. Just anybody who's not the runner or somebody who's pretending to be the runner, all those type of hits and tackles and blocks are legal, but those who are not the runners, not. Okay? So let's look at some concepts real quick. It is important to see the whole block. All right? Don't assume because you hear something and you turn around and somebody hit the ground. If you did not see it, pass on it. It could have been illegal, but you didn't see it. Don't assume you know what happened because you don't. Okay. The ones I see, a lot of bad things happen when you're following a runner and there's a block behind you and you turn around and you throw your flag like you've seen it, which you didn't. Don't do it. When in doubt regarding a block from behind, the block is considered legal. All right. Contact rules to be from behind, but in doubt whether the contact was above or below the waist, the block is considered to be clipping. So if you see a block in the back and you're trying to determine was it high or low, there's always consider it low and to be on the safe side. All right. So blocking the back is a 10-yard penalty, and all the other blocks are 15-yard penalties. Okay. Fouls and stuff like that. So that is it.